Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Heads Together. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen, your host, and I'm here with Jennifer Wilner. Hello, Jen.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to all of our viewers from all over the world. We have a great show for you today. Oh my gosh, the world is just spinning, isn't it? Our hearts and prayers are going out to our friends and colleagues and family in Kentucky and the surrounding states. That those tornadoes that just hit. Boy, oh boy. Hey, welcome to the show, Lynn. I hope you didn't have anybody in the path of those tornadoes, but oh my goodness, we have to imagine that there were some assistants and impacted in the storm. So crazy. However, and on LinkedIn, I want to, and all of social media, I want to make it public that if assistants are out there needing support from fellow assistants in these affected areas, please reach out to me, Bonnie at BonnieLowKramen.com, and we'll see if we can connect you with the right people, whatever it is you're needing. We want to help. And that's how this community needs to function, as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. Just so much in the news these days. People on this, attendees to this show have heard us talking recently about the Great Resignation and the war for talent and, just this very volatile environment in the workplace right now. I heard a very interesting development the other day about the people, not only assistants, but people who are quitting their jobs are going public on social media about how they're quitting. And they're really being overt with the stories. And it seems to me there's a lot of anger and a lot of feeling involved. And of course there is when you quit a job. But one of the latest developments is on TikTok. And Jen, we didn't even talk about this. They're called Quit Talks. You all know about TikTok. And on TikTok, people are creating videos called Quit Talks, which are, a creative way another form of expression about how they're quitting. Interesting, right?
Interesting.
Quit talks.
Okay.
And then perhaps this audience has heard the story about the CEO of a company called Better.com that fired 900 staff members via Zoom in a group call. Gotta say, in retrospect, there had to have been a better way to let 900 people go. And first of all, 900 people, there's a lot to this story, but all that to say, the aftermath of what happened is that he fired 900 people in a group call on Zoom. And then within days, he apologized profusely. The CEO was this guy named Vishal Garg, G-A-R-G. You can Google it. And the apology wasn't enough. He then started having senior executives quitting because of the situation.
Get away from that leadership.
And then the news was that other companies were so excited that there were now 900 people in the workforce available to hire. So those 900 people are finding themselves getting approached for work. Crazy.
Hopefully going to a much better job.
Yeah. And now that CEO is taking a leave of absence. So first he apologized, and now he's taking a leave of absence to rethink the culture of the company. Right? There had to be a better way. Yeah, Claudia, you're saying that it's ironic that his company is called Better.com. Oh my goodness.
Not better.
You can't make this stuff up. And now the latest news is that the staff that's remaining, they're fearful because they are experiencing more pressure, wondering like how much harder do they have to work to keep their jobs.
Of course.
And they're having to work even harder because in a heartbeat, 900 people are gone. And so now the remaining people are having to do that work. Had to have been a better way to handle this. Well, that's what I'm saying. So that is not exactly what we're talking about today.
No.
I couldn't do today's show without mentioning this. And if anybody wants to continue this conversation offline or on LinkedIn, we can absolutely do that. But today we're talking about confidence. Confidence, which is a very hot subject and a really important one as it impacts assistants. Jen, you were sharing with me earlier, you've got a quick way, a way that you bolster your own confidence.
It's right here. It's right here. So there's always a reason to put a smile on your face. And I remember you having a blog about releasing your happy endorphins, right?
Chemical,
so
yeah.
There was a sales thing that we learned years ago about having a mirror on your desk. My trick, it's not so creative. Wake up in the morning, be grateful that you're here, and look at yourself in the mirror and you got this. And just keep a smile on your face. And that just like raises the room. You can't smile at somebody and not have them smile back at you unless they think you're an absolute lunatic.
And so what do you literally say to yourself in the mirror in the morning? You told me.
I'm like, nice to see you today. You got this.
And you say that out loud.
I say it out loud. Absolutely.
Very cool. I love it. I'm going to share something with you and this audience that I haven't shared yet. And Megan, thank you. I mean, we're bouncing around, but yeah, can't imagine how the remaining people of the company feel. Totally agree with you, Megan. Back to confidence. I am working out with a personal trainer for the first time in my whole life. Ha!
So exciting.
I decided that and it's turning out that's turning out to be a confidence booster. So there's all kinds of ways to bolster your confidence. And we have a very special guest today joining us who is an expert on confidence building. And she is, in fact, the head of Suzie Flynn Coaching. She is a mindset and business coach. So excited to have Suzie on the show. I've been a fan of hers for a long time. We have never met face to face in the same room, but we've been following each other on LinkedIn. And isn't it funny how you can think that you know somebody when you keep following each other and read what you write? So let me tell you a little bit about Suzie. She is today in south of London, England. So she is far away from lots of us, but she knows a lot about the business of being an assistant because she worked as one for 22 years. Now in her new work and it's not so new, she has been a mindset and business coach for many years. She specializes in supporting assistants to increase their confidence and belief in themselves so that they feel empowered in many ways. And in one of those ways, she empowers people to start their own virtual assistant businesses. That is an arm of her business. So she's going to tell us all about it. Let us give a nice warm welcome to Suzie Flynn. Hi, Suzie.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Bonnie. Thank you so much for that beautiful welcome. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, it's great to have you here from London.
Yeah.
As we welcome the assistants who are coming to us from all over the United States for sure. You're getting a nice warm welcome
from Lynn. Thank you, Lynn.
From our viewers today. So like we do here at Heads Together, want to just ask you some fast questions so that our audience can get to know you a little better. Is that good?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Elton John or the Beatles?
I would say Elton John.
Have you seen him in concert?
No, I haven't.
No.
Have you?
I have not.
Oh,
So,
add that to my wish list.
Who have you seen in concert?
Oh, I like rock music. So I've seen Guns N' Roses. I've seen Aerosmith. I've seen Shania Twain. She's not rock, more. She was
country. Country, right?
She sort of went a bit mainstream.
Yeah, really like her. Good.
Yeah,
okay. Great. Favorite TV show as a child?
So when I grew up with my parents, my dad was very much into sci-fi, and every Sunday we'd have a nice Sunday roast. And I was like, as soon as it finished, we'd go and watch this program called Lost in Space. And I think back now, do you know Lost in Space?
Totally.
Oh, there you go.
Will Robinson.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and the robot and Smith. Is it Mr. Smith? Yeah.
Oh, who was so evil.
Yeah,
he was so nasty.
Yeah. So I love that. So I'd get excited after like Sunday roast, like go into the living room, let's watch Lost in Space with my brother, and sit there with my dad, and my mum would be doing the dishes. She didn't really care too much for TV.
I had such a crush on that guy. I think his real name was Mark Goddard. Is that right?
I'm not sure. It's a long time ago.
The cutie guy. Yeah. Anyway, put in the chat if you remember Lost in Space. We're dating ourselves. That would be really small. And of course, as we're talking, ladies and gentlemen listening, please, Suzie is going to be taking your questions and your comments, and so she will be responding. But first, tell us your favorite dessert.
Creme brulee. Definitely creme brulee. In fact, on my website, there's a picture of me in my hometown enjoying a creme brulee. It's my favorite.
Yummy. If you could have only one book on a desert island, what would it be?
That is such a tough question for me because I love books and I have like 2 bookshelves here. I'm going to cheat and go with one novel and one business book.
Go ahead.
I think for the novel, I go for the book The Dark Cathedral. It's a book I read when I was a child about a young girl, coming into womanhood and sort of the romantic element of what came out of that. And so that would be my favorite. And I recently read it after 30 years. So that's quite eye-opening. And then a business book, looking at my bookshelf, I think I'd like to go for Chicken Soup for the Soul, because if you've read it, it's full of so many inspiring, empowering, impactful stories. Yeah. So every new chapter is something new. So that's really
interesting. Okay. Yeah. What's your favorite app?
Yeah, my favorite, I'm not sure I have a favorite app, but I'd say the one I probably use the most is WhatsApp. Now I have it on my computer because naturally, being an ex-assistant, I'm a touch typist. So I like to be efficient. And it's been a really good way for me to stay connected to friends and family during the pandemic, voice calls, voice notes, video calls. So I think that's really helped me during, the lockdowns that we've all experienced.
If any of you have not checked out WhatsApp, it's a terrific app on your phone, and it's free. So it's a wonderful way to stay connected with people from all over the world, and it doesn't cost you 1 cent.
It's amazing.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is probably Young Guns 2, which is a bit ironic really, because I don't even like Westerns. But I do like Young Guns 2 because it has the soundtrack from Bon Jovi, and I love Bon Jovi. And I just, I've watched it 35 times, Bonnie.
Oh my gosh. Who's in it? Wait, I'm admitting I'm not totally into Westerns. Who's in that?
Nor am I. Keith Sutherland, Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen. I think those are the main characters.
35 times means you can say the dialogue probably with them, right?
Yeah.
And sing along.
Yeah. I do that on my
own. What's your favorite beverage?
In the UK, we have something called Yorkshire tea. So we have different brands of tea, but Yorkshire tea is the best. I love Yorkshire tea. And if you speak to Skevy from the PA Way, she is also a fan of Yorkshire tea.
Is it pretty common? It's
common. It's just the best tea out there.
Okay. You heard it here first from Suzie Flynn. The last thing you binge watched?
I would say the series 24. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's with Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah. Are you a Kiefer Sutherland fan?
Yeah, I would say so. But I guess I grew up on sci-fi, action, horror. I like the occasional romantic comedy, though. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, interesting. Okay, last question. What's one thing that's not on your LinkedIn profile that people would be surprised by?
Okay, so one thing I love to share, I don't think many people know, is that in 2000 and I think it was 2014 or 15, I can't remember now, I climbed Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, the highest freestanding mountain in Africa. I sadly lost my parents about 7 months apart in 2013. So I trained, I did swimming, I did a boot camp, I did boxing, I did the gym, everything. I did walks with footpath societies in the UK. I went to an altitude centre in London to help me get prepared for being at altitude, and I summited at 5,895 meters. So it was hard work. You can hardly breathe at some points because the altitude is a lot higher, so you'll always climb higher and then come down and sleep a little bit lower than you climbed.
Amazing.
But I raised money in memory of my parents because my mum passed away from Alzheimer's and my dad passed away from prostate and secondary bone. So I raised £5,000 for Macmillan and Alzheimer's. So it was my legacy to my parents. So it was just the most amazing experience. I recommend it to anyone who's willing to try that now. I can't do mountains anymore, unfortunately, though, Bonnie, because I had an accident a few years ago and I've got a very bad knee.
So isn't that a lesson right there? Is if your instinct says do it, like do it, because you don't know if you'll be able to.
Yeah, just trust in the process.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you'll be happy to know that other people in the chat remember Lost in Space too. So it's not just you and me.
Yes, Lynn said she does.
Yay! Oh my gosh, it's like such a vivid memory. It was like yesterday. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about confidence, Suzie. Which you and I, when we spoke last week, clearly we both care very much about building confidence in others, in the people we work with, and it's such a key game changer. You yourself worked as an assistant for 22 years, so you understand this business. Can you tell us about your journey and through being an assistant and becoming a coach? How did that happen? And through it, you found your confidence. Tell us, talk to us.
So I guess when I was young, I remember my dad saying to me, I was age 16, he said, you've got 2 years extra education and out to work. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I kind of followed in my mum's footsteps. She did a bit of telephony and receptionist work and, learned to type, which I found quite exciting at the time. And next thing I know, I'm in London and I'm moving my way up, the different roles, working in different industries. But having been bullied at school, my confidence, my self-esteem, my self-worth was very low. And then to go into London, into the corporate world, was something that I'd never experienced before. It was very new to me. And I think in a way I put other people on a pedestal. I saw them as the people that had money, the people that had a degree. I didn't have a degree at the time. I did later. I studied with the Open University in the UK and did a psychology degree. But my confidence slowly increased. But I think there was a time in my career where it really, really dipped. And I know we talked about this the other day. And I was working for a company, I was there for quite some time. And the lady that I was supporting, the interactions with her were very much like micromanaging, bullying. Some of the things I heard her say to me in a very small office, of about 14 people on one floor, so everyone could hear what was being said. And she would say things to me like, you're useless, you might as well go home, which left me feeling terrible. I mean, how do you even respond to that? And just other things that she would say when my parents were ill. I think my mum had a fall. She had a subdural hematoma, which is basically sort of fluid on both sides of the brain. So she had to have an operation for that. And then 2 days later, my dad got diagnosed with terminal cancer. So as you might imagine, I was not in a good place.
Right.
And I remember coming back, and it was like 2 days after I'd come back from having a few days off from this terrible news. And I remember her saying, "Are you over it now?" And I was like, am I over it now? These are my parents. These are my role models. This is my family. No, I'm not over it. But because of the years of micromanaging and bullying and not being given enough responsibility, I found that lack of confidence started creeping back in. And I didn't have that voice. I was so scared to speak up because I thought, well, if I speak up, I'll rock the boat. I will get in trouble.
So you didn't say anything?
Not really, no. I just ended up speaking to my dad a lot, speaking to my friends.
And Suzie, was that when you went to London, or was that before you got to London?
It was after I went to London. I was probably around 30, 32, something like that.
Wow.
So,
oh my gosh. I suspect that most everyone on the call can relate to those heartbreaking sentences that you cannot make up. And the idea awful. That you didn't feel empowered to respond to it.
Yeah. I think because I was bullied at school, and there was something that happened which helped me kind of see the light and help me start to increase my confidence. And then when that happened in this workplace, it's so easy for our confidence just to start to wane and almost disappear. And I know who I am now, and I know that I would have dealt with that situation differently. In fact, there was one time that I actually stood up to her because she'd always say about the importance of making sure that we have breakfast. And we had a little cafe next door. So most of us would go there, get some toast, and it was always like, make sure you finish your breakfast by 9, you eat your lunch between 1 and 2, and you finish at 5, the whole company. And this particular day I was running late. So I had the choice of, being late or just eating my toast at the desk a couple of minutes after 9. And she came up to me and she said, "Suzie, you know that you have to, work starts at 9 o'clock. You should have finished your breakfast." And I explained to her that, I was going to run late, but I stood up to her and I said, well, I either don't have breakfast or I eat at 2 minutes late. And I actually stood up to her. I was annoyed and I stood up, and she was like, she didn't say anything. She went away. And for me, that helped give me that kind of glimmer of confidence back, because it gave me the evidence in my mind that actually nothing bad is going to happen. You can speak up and you can have a voice. So that was quite a powerful moment. It was a small thing, but I was like, I use my voice, and it's so long ago because I can't imagine being that kind of person now, but that's who I was back then from that experience. We spend so much time at work.
Right.
And it can really, really affect our confidence.
Yeah. And, before you came on, you heard me talk about what's happening on TikTok.
Yeah.
The quit talks. And there are some extraordinary stories a la what you were talking about, these awful things that are being told to people, and employees are going on TikTok and saying, well, my manager said this to me, and I said, see ya.
Yeah. And it took me about 5 years to get to that point, but I do remember one particular time, and I printed all these emails out thinking one day maybe I'll need them.
Yeah.
And excuse me. And it was just shortly after my mum had her diagnosis, her hematoma, and she was in hospital for 7 weeks, followed by an admission to a care home. And my dad was obviously dealing with his terminal cancer. And our half day was like between 9 and 1 or something like that, or 9 and 12:30. So I sent my manager, who sat opposite me, and I said, as you know, my dad has recently been diagnosed with terminal cancer. My mum is ill. I would like to request a half a day. I understand it starts and finishes at this time, but in order to get to my dad's appointment, I would need to leave a little bit early. What I suggest is I start half an hour earlier and finish half an hour earlier to honour the half day. And I'm still shocked to this day, her response. And she came back, since it's a mercy mission, I will allow this on this one occasion. A mercy mission. I was like, I can't believe she said that. It still shocks me to this day. It was my family. And there's a post that I put out occasionally on LinkedIn sharing this story. And it's so amazing because so many people come forward in the comments and share their stories,
Right.
their experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was how many, that mercy mission comment was how many years ago, Suzie? About?
Oh, probably about 2011, so 10 years ago.
10 years ago. And it's, in you telling it, it sounds like it could have happened yesterday or last week. That's how fresh this stuff stays. So it cannot be underestimated. And in your coaching, I'm sure you see that. So
absolutely.
You shared a great story about the Indian restaurant where, you know, like, I think we all have catalyst moments, turning point moments that change things, you know, because clearly you have a laundry list of times when people behaved really badly. Tell us what happened at a turning point for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give a background, and as I mentioned before, when I was at school, I was bullied for no other reason than my parents probably bought the cheaper school uniform, or my hair wasn't the most stylish, or maybe just because I was shy and I was sensitive and an empath. So obviously going through the latter years of school, secondary school, we call it in the UK, my confidence was really low. And my self-esteem was really low, my self-worth was really low. All of that was just so rock bottom from the bullying. And I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't want to burden my parents because my brother has learning difficulties and there was a lot going on at home with my brother. And in my 20s, I lived in a flat share in St Albans, which is south of London. And when people would give me a compliment at that time, I would put myself down. And people would say, well, why do you put yourself down? And I would say, it's the only thing I'm good at. I laugh now because clearly that's not true. And then one day I was with a boyfriend at the time and with one of his friends. And we were in an Indian restaurant and we were getting a takeaway. And I did exactly that. He gave me a compliment. I put myself down. But what was different this time was that he said to me, Suzie, why do you do this? You're a beautiful, intelligent young woman. But he said it with so much passion and conviction. He was clearly frustrated. He clearly meant it. And I went home that day with a fresh perspective because it really made me think, he actually believes this. Maybe there's some truth in it. And it took me a long time to slowly but surely increase my confidence and slowly begin to see what he saw in me. I mean, I think really it took about 20 years to get to the level that I am at now. I wish that I had a coach or a mentor or someone that had allowed me to see how powerful I am. But having gone through that journey, I'm so passionate about empowering assistants with their confidence and self and belief and showing them how capable they are, what is possible for them, because anything is possible. I truly believe that.
So what inspired you to become a coach? And tell us about the coaching business. How did that happen?
Great question. I think I'd got to a point in my assistant career where I kind of felt like I had a calling. I felt like I like the role, but is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And I knew there was something else. I just didn't know what it was. I just felt like that I had a calling to make a deeper impact on a personal level, and I didn't really know what that looked like. And then I came across the term coaching, but I didn't really know what it was. I used to belong to a jogging club with a friend, and I'd heard it, and I was like, oh, what's this coaching, and how do you make money from it? I had no idea at all. And then after my dad passed away in 2013, my neighbour mentioned about the coaching academy, and that they have a 2-day training, like in-person event. So I thought, oh, it's free. Wonder why that is. So anyway, I went along and I was just hooked. It opened up a whole new world for me. It helped me understand how I can create that deeper impact. And so I used part of my savings. I had inheritance, but I used my savings, and I decided to go all in. I think in part, to be honest, Bonnie, it was a way for me to keep myself busy after the loss of my parents, but it was also something I was very interested in. So that's it. I went forward with that. I did the training, I discovered it, and I started doing pro bono sessions as part of my training. We need to do training sessions so that we have experience. And I remember my very first pro bono client, and she had a limiting belief about herself. I can't remember what it was now, but she'd had it for 6 years. And we had 4 sessions. I literally just started out. I was still learning how to be a coach. And I just did a little bit of open questions, reframing, getting her to see things from a different perspective. And I said to her, like, share with me some of your achievements. And she listed off all these achievements, like 10 plus. And I said, look, there's 10 here. Do you still think that you're not good enough or not this or whatever? She's like, oh, no, I guess not. And then I checked in with her the next session and then 2 sessions later. And I said, you know that negative belief that you had that you've been carrying around for 6 years? Do you still have it? And she said, oh, no, I don't have that anymore, as if it was just like, don't be silly. And for me, that was huge. I couldn't believe at first that I'd been able to help her with that. But it was so exciting to be able to create such a powerful transformation in someone and help them feel better about themselves, help them have the confidence and self-belief in themselves. And I was just in love. I was just in love with creating that impact through my coaching. And then it went from there. And I just slowly built the business, and then I niched down to virtual assistants. But I love doing talks in corporate, empowering assistants. Confidence and self-belief, because of my own journey, is a huge focus of mine. And I just love it when I get a testimonial from a client, like one recently, where it says, I feel worthy. And you should, because you absolutely are. So for me, it lights me up.
So who is your ideal client? And if you had someone in front of you who is lacking confidence, can you help our audience understand, like, just give us a little taste of the coaching, if you will.
So my ideal client at the moment, as my niche currently stands, although I'm exploring some other things, is that assistant who wants to build a virtual assistant business but doesn't have the confidence and self-belief to do so. So a lot of what I do is the mindset. And when I get a client come to me, I work with them on their beliefs, and I'm very good at like peeling back the layers of the onion, because what someone says, there's a layer underneath that, then there's a layer underneath that. And one of my favorite coaching questions is what are you making that mean to you? Okay. Or if someone says, I don't have the confidence to build a virtual assistant business, or I don't have the confidence to ask for a rise, or I don't have the confidence to do this, then, my role is to challenge them. And I was like, how do you know? Like, what would it take for you to be confident? What would it feel like in your body to feel confident? Is there a time that you can share with me where you felt confident? How did you feel? What did you see? What did you hear? And I use my NLP techniques and help them reconnect with what's called modalities. So the sensory aspect. So we hear, we see, we taste, and we feel. So I love to help people connect back with that and then challenge that, because anything is possible, and help them see things from a different perspective and ask those open questions and really dig into what really is going on. Because someone might say, I don't have the confidence to do this, but there's more than that. If you think about our childhood years, up to the age of about seven, we kind of absorb everything around us. We take it all in. We don't have a filter. So we take on everything that we hear from our peers, our parents, our siblings, etc., and we apply a meaning to it. And we make it mean certain something. Like, so say, for example, if a young child was to draw a beautiful picture, show it to her dad, he's on the phone, he puts it to the side, and she might make it mean, Daddy doesn't love me, or it's hard to get attention, or I'm not a good artist. But it's what we make it mean to us in the moment. And then we create beliefs in our pre-conscious use, we take them into our adulthood. And my role as a coach is to help my clients unravel that and to challenge those beliefs and help them to create more empowering beliefs and to see how powerful they actually are, because we all have so much potential.
Agreed. So as we're talking, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, comments, please put them in the chat. Jen will be moderating. Suzie, I want to go a little further with that. You know, as is true in UK and all over the world, assistants are 95 to 98% female.
Yeah.
Why is it? Can you talk a little bit about the gender issues around confidence? Why is it that women struggle so with confidence? Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's a good question. I mean, personally, I think it can be to do with our upbringing and the gender differences and the way that a parent would parent a male and would parent a female. And when I was doing my psychology degree, it's very stereotypical for a girl to play with a doll and a boy to play with maybe a truck. But if a girl was to play with a truck or exhibit certain masculine behaviors, they would be like, no, don't do that. So I think it can definitely be influenced by our upbringing, the way society expects us to be. But I think that we have a choice in the way that we show up. But it's an interesting question, isn't it, Bonnie? Really, it is. I'm not sure how much I can speak to it. It's
okay.
Yeah, I think I might ponder on that one a little bit.
Yeah, I am fascinated, as my audience knows this about me. I just think that the way society and the workplace handles women is very different than men, and it impacts confidence. You know,
it does.
Direct connection. So, you know, as a former assistant, I know you carry a lot of those memories with you. And here we are almost 2 years into this pandemic, which caught everybody off guard. As you look ahead into 2022, what are you worried about? What are you excited about? What are you seeing from your side of the ocean and your clients who you're dealing with? And you're dealing with clients all over the world, I know. So tell us what your perspective is, if you would.
I think the first thing that I'm worried about, and I saw this last year when the pandemic first hit, is the uncertainty and the lack of confidence for assistants, because so many assistants got made redundant. And it's quite interesting because the recruitment industry, certainly in the UK, is so busy and they're crying out for assistants. But what I saw a lot of was assistants scrambling to do another piece of training. And my sense, and I could be wrong, my sense was that there was a sort of need or a desperation. I was like, I must train in something else so that I can get a job. And it was that kind of scarcity, that fear that I must keep working, I must keep training. And I'm all about self-development. But it felt like it was coming from a place of fear and scarcity, because so many people were losing their jobs, and it was so sad. And as you know, like, I would share posts, I would comment on posts when I saw someone looking for work, because I was that person. And having been made redundant 3 times myself when I was an assistant, I know what it's like for your whole salary to be taken away. It's very, very scary. So I worry about the assistants' confidence as they re-enter the workforce if they've been made redundant, and also the impact on their mental health. You know, with the lockdowns throughout the world, in the UK at the moment, we're not in a lockdown, thankfully, but you know, we've got some new restrictions come in as we head towards Christmas. I think, I'm not sure, Australia, New Zealand, I'm not sure what's happening there, but I know both or one of those countries have or are in lockdown at the moment. And this impacts our mental health. And that again impacts our confidence and our belief in ourselves. So I do worry about that. In terms of what I'm looking forward to, what I'm excited about, I'm excited about the shift in the assistant industry, because when I started, I wasn't aware of the Bonnie Low-Kramens or the Lucy Brazier in the UK, or the different assistant
Yeah.
groups. I so wish I had them in my career. But I'm so excited for what is changing in the administrative world, because I feel that assistants are really stepping into who they are, or they're having more opportunities to do so with support from people such as yourself, creating that connection between executive and the assistant. I think there's more opportunities now for the role as a career, the opportunity to set it up as your own business as well if you want to take that different route. But I think confidence and that self-belief is the thing that holds it all together.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's really requiring a lot of proactive approach from the assistants, though, to do what you're saying. There is a lot of opportunity, but it's really requiring what a lot of assistants refer to as they paint it as needing courage to do it. And that is useful to have a coach like you, like me. Jen, if you can put up Ruth Ann's comment, I'd love to get response to this about how confidence can be generational. Ruth Ann is talking about how younger women perhaps are stronger than older. What do you make of that? Since I'm sure your clients are of multi ages.
They are. I think that's a really interesting question. I think that we can have generational patterns which we can inherit from our parents, from our grandparents. So like money stories, for example, that's something that we can inherit. Can't say that word today. I grew up hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees, and look after the pennies and the pounds and look after themselves, which is very much a scarcity mindset. And I think society was different 50, 100 years ago. As we move more into an age of feminism and empowerment in women, I believe, are feeling bolder to speak up. There's more women at executive level. There's more women that are, perhaps choosing a career over a family or setting up businesses. I think it's evolving. So we're going through a new generational pattern. So I definitely think as young women rise in society in their career, I think there is a newfound level of confidence because they're getting different messages from society. If we looked at women in the 20s or 30s, the messages that society would have given then would be like, stay at home, cook the dinner for your husband. And now it's like, make a career for yourself. So I think the societal messages from society and from our parents and caregivers has changed massively over the years.
Right. I know that one of the messages that I certainly try to convey in every workshop I do is that, inevitably I have the Ruth Anns in the room, and I have 20 somethings, 30 somethings, 40, 50, 60.
Yeah.
Our move as women is not to fight each other, is to not judge one another harshly simply because we're of a different generation.
Yeah.
Our move always is to do this, is to collaborate and cooperate and to learn from other generations and embrace the other generations. If we more mature women have something to learn from our younger, bolder, more confident colleagues, let's embrace that. Let's not fight it. Honestly, I really see that's the thing I'm most worried about with the remote work is that women especially feel isolated and alone. And in that isolation, it's easy to, look for the enemy and, have our imaginations go a little wild.
I know we talked about this last week, and I truly believe in empowering other women because why not? Like, let's lift each other up instead of put each other down. And I think when we fall into a place of putting other women down, it's a result effectively of our own fears, and it's the way that we manage our emotions, and we can manage it in a healthy way, or we can manage it in a way where we self-sabotage ourselves by causing conflict with others. That's just one form of self-sabotage amongst many.
Oh, yeah. So at this point, Jen, if you can put into the chat the ways our audience can reach out to Suzie via LinkedIn, via SuzieFlynnCoaching.com, her website. And you have a gift for all of our listeners today, Suzie. Tell us about that. What is it?
I have a very short confidence guide that's been put together. So I think Jen has just popped the link in. Yeah, there it is. And it's going to give you 3 really fantastic techniques that you can apply to basically give you confidence anytime. One of my favorites is called, Bonnie, you may know this, it's called an anchor. It's an NLP anchor where you anchor in a positive state. So you anchor in a state of confidence. And that's one of the techniques that you can apply. And I did this myself through my own training, but I've also done it with Tony Robbins, and he does it very powerfully. And, the anchor for me is to squeeze my fist. And even to this day, it's been 3 or 4 years since I went, I can feel the shift in my body. I can feel my shoulders going up. I can feel my posture changing. It's a really, really simple technique that you can use, that you can apply anywhere. It can be as simple as putting a thumb and a finger together like that. You can do it anywhere, no one will know, and it will shift your whole physiology, your emotional state. So that's one of my favorites in there, but there's a couple of other techniques that you can apply to increase your confidence. So if you're going for an interview, or you need to have a difficult conversation or an awkward conversation, then use those techniques, because they will really, really help you shift your confidence. So that's my gift to you.
Thank you so much for that guide. It's completely free. I downloaded it myself. I wanted to make sure the link worked, and it's great stuff. There's some really great information.
Thank you for testing it. Yeah. Sylvia said, I don't see the link. I think Jen has popped it further up, Sylvia.
So it's a few comments up, Sylvia. So as we head towards closing out for today, Suzie, tell us, is there a leader you admire? Is there a quote that you love? Tell us what inspires you.
I mean, I have so many leaders that I admire. I mean, yourself, for example, Lucy Brazier within the administrative industry, but people within the coaching profession, such as Brendan Burchard. He's a high performance coach, and he has a podcast called The Brendan Show, which is fantastic. But I do have a quote here, which I know that you know, Bonnie, and I'm going to read it out because it is so powerful. And I was gifted it in a beautiful frame. I'll show you quickly, and then I'll read it out. I was gifted it for my birthday in October. So let me read it to you, Jen, and the audience. So it says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. Gives me goosebumps every single time. I love it.
It's awesome.
And just to credit who it's by, it's from Marianne Williamson.
Yes. She ran for president in the United States. Yeah. She is she's written some amazing books. I actually heard her speak at a book signing in New York City. Her name is Marianne Williamson. And let me just reiterate, your playing small does not serve the world.
Yes.
It does not.
It doesn't.
As Olympia Dukakis used to say, this is not a rehearsal. This thing we've got every single day, that gift that Megan is saying that that quote gave her chills.
It gives me the chills too. It just gives me the chills. If you type in Marianne Williamson, deepest fear on Google, you will find the quote. You will find it. You can download it. You can print it. You can get it in a frame. But I set the intention to read it every day. It's just so powerful, and it's such a great reminder that we are powerful beyond measure, that we get to focus on the possibilities, not the limitations. We are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for. So step into the light.
Indeed. And in fact, a lot of people credit Nelson Mandela of South Africa, the president of South Africa, with that quote. He read that. He used that quote at his inauguration in 1994. But actually, it's Marianne Williamson who wrote it. He used it at the inauguration. So sometimes people think, in fact, I thought for a long time it was Mandela's quote, but it isn't. So Suzie, as we head towards the end, do you have any final thoughts for our audience? What would you like to leave them with, please?
I would just like to say, trust in yourself, trust in others. I know it's hard when you're coming from a place of lack of confidence, because I have been there and I have been on that journey, but just take that first step. Look back at your achievements, put together a journal of all the things that you've achieved this week, this month, this year. Step into who you are, trust that you are enough, because you are, and just take small steps, whether it's practicing gratitude every morning, or like Jen does, smiling in the mirror, because smiling will produce endorphins in your body and it will change, it will create a chemical reaction. But just take one step every day. If you want to reach out to me and book in a session to support you with your confidence and self-belief, it would be my absolute pleasure. Whether you're an assistant, a virtual assistant, it would be my pleasure to support you. You can reach me on my website, or you can reach me on LinkedIn. But know that you are enough, and you are a gift to the world. You are more powerful. You're powerful beyond measure, as Marianne Williamson has said in her quote.
That's beautiful. Well, Suzie Flynn, I thank you so much for saying yes and for coming on to Heads Together today. I know that our audience has taken away many gems that matter. These things matter, which is why we're here every week. We will be back next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for another show of Heads Together, as we'll just be a few days before Christmas. And hopefully the healing and the solutions will find themselves in Kentucky, and just what's going on in our country that's hurting. A lot of people are hurting right now. Jen Wilner, thank you so much for helping us, as always, from behind the scenes. Thank you, everyone, for listening and for taking your time, which we never take for granted, for you to be here. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.